I should start it with saying thank you. Thank you, the audience, for being here. It's the very last time. You are great that you are here. Thank you for the trust. We're going to do our best to be super trooper on the stage tonight and make your time worth it. Thank you. We're going to talk a little bit, streaming wars. It's not a new topic. Streaming wars, you've heard about it for the last 10 years or something. Operators, streamers, this dynamics. We're gonna have a look at the streaming war from the distance a bit, from what we have experienced as the industry over the last 10 years. We have here both sides of the war, because this word were used in the press, in the industry. So we have representatives of operators. Actually, yes, here we have streamer Stella and Kenechi, and we have Bernhard, who is a universal weapon supplier to both sides. We're gonna put it a little bit in terms of like tragedy playing roles, different perspectives from different standpoints. And as Greek tragedy begins with a chorus, please roll the movie now. Yeah, very brief movie, two parties fighting, someone stole the mushroom. We're gonna touch on this as well. Graphically illustrating this question now, how the media are consumed in different demographies. Nothing new for you, right? So basically, older generation still into live, made into portal, and young generation, very strong eyeball focus on TikTok and Instagram, not really neither operators nor streamers. This was the mushroom that was stolen. We're going to touch on this in the end of the panel. But let's begin with the question to streamers, because they instigated this so-called war. Where did you start it? How long have you been in streamer operation? Stella?
So hi everyone. It's really nice to have us here, Sanya. I just want to say I feel very comfortable, very happy. Half of the audience is my current colleagues, and half of the audience is my ex-colleagues. So it's a really nice topic to discuss. Whether it's wars or partnerships, or something in between, or anything in between, it's very important. We started in our region here, in our two markets, in Slovenia and Croatia. We started, let's say, actively pursuing customers through SVOD around 2018 with the first originals and really a proper push. The brand was existing before throughout CME, but it's somehow quite underdeveloped and was not a focus at the time. But from 2018, Slovenia became, let's say, a proper player on the streaming market. And then Croatia later on, after the acquisition by CME of RTL Croatia in Q4 2023. So kind of like really in the first, let's say, exciting steps.
Right.
And we launched recently, only last year, end of last year, Serbia.
Right. Kenechi, how is it on your side with your streaming operations? Where do you start it?
Mm-hmm. So HBO Max has been in the market since May 2020, so it's officially 5 years now. But the legacy company streaming services has been at it for over a decade, starting with HBO Go, HBO Now, Discovery Plus, and you can complete the next upcoming rebrand that we're having.
Right.
We rebranded the service that was launched in 2020 in May 2023 to Max, and we're going to have another rebrand now, but we've been at it for over a decade. For those regions, it's been very, very interesting for us because the HBO as a legacy company has been a premium linear television for a very long time, grown with a lot of partners, and the business is really about the partnerships, about the consumers. And it's a very nice, heading to call it the wars, because I don't think there's no war.
Okay. Well, we'll be discovering if it's redefining or defining. Maybe the streaming war is just a press artifact. Because
it's nice, catchy.
But we don't have any journalists here on this side of the line, so we will redefine.
I think even if they did give up on that topic,
Yeah. When you were starting your operations? What were your intentions? What do you want to achieve, Stella, Kenechi?
We are a linear broadcaster by DNA. So taking as a base the fact that GRP is our bread and butter business, we wanted to be there where the audience is. And we wanted to be able to compete with the international players, and we wanted to be able to be the first choice for original content for our local audience and to be relevant. So we needed to be where they are, and we needed to give them a good product, we needed to give them value, and we needed to give them flexibility. So in the same way that you compete for time, as we all do, compete for our audience's time and willingness to spend their time with us, because time is really the one thing that's most valuable at this time. We wanted to be the number one original long-form premium content provider in all our markets, coming top to bottom. This is our strategy. And to really solidify this position in every market that we're in, to be the leader and to be a sustainable source for our audience of local stories that matter, regardless of the distribution method.
Right.
So from previews, pre-broadcast windows to linear, to catch-up, and so on.
Right. So basically, it sounds like you followed the spirit of time. You were provoked by global players, and you had to enter digital direct-to-consumer distribution.
It's always been our DNA.
Yeah.
We've always. It's not the first time. This is. International players have always been in our markets.
Yeah.
It's the same discussion that was happening 15, 20 years ago between free-to-air and pay TV.
Yeah.
It's just an acceleration, a different way of putting the same kind of topic.
Right.
So how you keep your let's say your competitive advantage and your differentiating factor has to be your relevance.
Right. Kenechi, what was the HBO perspective back then going direct to consumer?
Storytelling. We wanted to get to the consumer where they are. And we wanted to also get closer to our consumers. That's the direct-to-consumer perspective. Because the data and the way they use content, the way they behave is not always something that you can get from our iconic stories directly through partners. So we wanted to broaden our approach. We wanted to be able to serve the consumers in different ways and let them have a choice, whether come to us directly or through existing partners. We also wanted insights because we are producing, it's a lot of movies, it's a lot of series. Most of you know that. But we wanted to have great insights on how they react to stories. We're an American company, and this is one thing that country does very well, export great content, but it resonates differently across several territories. So it's one unifying factor that is quite global. So the direct consumer enabled us to take the stories out there to the consumer on our platforms. They could make a choice of wherever they wanted to see it and also take that data to inform the strategy that we continue to go for in terms of what kind of production that we're doing, which for us is always high quality, not necessarily quantity. Where does it resonate? What are the flavors that we need to put it in? Does the season needs to come back? You can get all that information, of course, when your content is out there, but you can get so much information when you have a platform that you control and that users tell you what they want to see, how they behave, how they want to engage, and of course to try and build brand loyalty, which I think is an equity that comes from that user experience back to the partnerships that we also have with different operators in the market.
Right, that's very interesting because there's this song Money, Money, Money from ABBA, but it looks like in your case it was about information and loyalty, not really about money, money, money.
Oh, it's always
there. We
just don't have some money.
Okay, we are getting there. But before we go to operator side, one last question. How your original intentions evolved over this number of years?
I think
When you tried it and really put your hands on this direct-to-consumer operations?
the COVID, I think in the most recent thing that's happened on our planet has been the COVID. The way we saw users consume content and their behavior, which has sort of changed when we've all come out there. But most of the changes that we're seeing is this user behavior, because now it's streamers and it's all about content. At the end of the day, you're a technology company, because user behavior is driven by so many different things, and you need to keep the engagement. You need to make sure that you're having the right features. You need to be there. The way that consumers consume content, you have to think about how the stories resonate, what you're going to put on your platforms in terms of content. Is it about quality, or is it about, to Stella's point, people just having not so much time to spend after the COVID came? What are they going to spend the time on? And actually helped us to enforce our strategy, which has always been about high quality premium content. It's either you like it or you don't like it, but if you like it, it's quality, it's good time spent with our content. So I really think that it keeps evolving, but the technology keeps outpacing us, and we keep we keep trying to make more changes with tech, with AI. We'll see where all that will go, and also getting information. Now we have in some countries ad tiers for the streaming service. Prior to that, there was a conversation that consumers don't want to see ads when they're watching quality content. It's still the same thing there, but there is a subset of consumers that want to see ads, that are patient enough to do that. So these things would never have come if we did not have our platforms informing us about how users behave. And of course, other areas of monetization, because they are also price sensitive consumers. And you can't leave everyone behind.
Right. Stella?
The same, very much we're looking at things in the same way. So our business model, it depends on, let's say, 3 pillars. Yeah, our GRPs, our bread and butter, TV ad sales business is one thing. Then we tap into partnerships with our operator partners, telecommunication companies, and so on. And then we have the B2C part of our business, which is tapping into the data, which is giving us, let's say, more real-time insights into behaviors of specific groups and families. So, but we've been used to read numbers all along. Yeah, so linear television is about reading the numbers every morning. Yeah, very similar. You just go from one metric system. You focus on B2C, predominantly also on CRM quite heavily. These are new ways of working for us. Yeah, so we're adapting from other sectors, from other businesses, ways of working and really getting to know our customer. But overall, the content strategy has been the same: local, long form, original, premium content that people like to consume on the big screen. This is our main focus. And then we're talking about regional content that kind of resonates and travels in our part of the world. Bit of sports here and there. We announced a couple of days ago Formula One for the next 3 years. And really smart windowing and smart curation of the content that's kind of tailor-made for every specific audience. And that's our standard.
Okay. There's this Samba song, Tiger. City is a jungle, better beware, never walk alone up to midnight, because there is money, single money, and the fight for money, as you touched a little bit. So have you felt threatened by the streamers' moves as operators, that they're going to take some money out of you? And what were your defensive strategies? Elena, if you can start with the lady.
So going back to the past, right? Definitely at the beginning, as telcos, we were in a defense mode, right? So at the beginning. So when the streamers came on stage, it was this was a big shift in the way how people started consuming content, right? So suddenly, what streamers gave, and we were not adapted at that time, was actually this freedom and this convenience to watch whatever they want. So then the telcos, from the perspective of the telcos, we needed to change. We need to change fast. And also, but it took, of course, some time. It took time also for the streamers to provide us the opportunity actually to start to sit on the same table and start discussing, right? So it was at a certain point came a tipping point when we realized that we both need each other, right? In order to create bigger value to the customer. Because what we would like to have at the end of the day is a loyal customer, maybe not a loyal, happy customer, right? So in the fight between us, there was no need anymore. This power play is over, and we needed to start actually contributing to each other's strengths in order to deliver best value.
Sure. On the future, we'll touch in the future. Now about the past and first moves. Uldis, how was it from your perspective?
Well, honestly saying, we are competing. We are all competing for the client's attention, but at the same time, we are participating in the evolution because world is changing quite rapidly, and with new technologies, it will speed up and change even more because at one point, the biggest weather news guy in Latvia was 14 years old who started to read news in more interesting way and as any other TV channels did. So he became the superstar with the technology we are providing. And the thing is that we need actually each other. We need to provide traffic and we need the content, and you also need traffic. So we can find the best way to generate partnerships as we are doing. We are partnering with HBO, we are partnering with Netflix, we are partnering with local studios, and we actually are making a step together. We are starting to produce local movies like TED Originals and Hollywood Beware, because last year Oscar was won by low budget cartoon from Latvia called Flow. So everything is possible with new technology. Combining resources, you can get some really big impact.
Right. Peter, you represent the biggest beast in this jungle. What were your defensive strategies? How did you behave?
I mean, we have 9 pay TV markets in our European footprint. I would speak in general. So I agree with Elena, as always, that I would say our relationship to streamers was a kind of an iterative process. Yeah. So in the beginning, it was more like these emerging streamers were coming to us, saying, do you want to partner? We were a bit arrogant, saying, no, we're not opening our customer base to you. Yeah, after a couple of years, we were thinking, maybe it's a good idea to partner. And then streamers were more saying, like, okay, we can partner, but we want to have from you like X million euros revenue guarantees, X million subscribers per year, X million marketing commitment. And that didn't work really for us. But I think now we have, at least with some partners, reached a kind of an equilibrium where you can say, okay, now it makes sense to build up on like a fair and partnerships.
Right. One of the common defensive moves that certain operators took was to enter content production. All this you mentioned, TED Originals.
It's not. I'm not saying that it's a defensive move. It's a move which is strengthening our position and our partners' position at the same time, because it's hard to imagine that Netflix will start to produce some Latvian content. We are too big for that, with 1.8 million in population and so on. So, but we need to find a partnership, because to get the client's attention, which is the main goal for telco operators and for streamers, you need a combination. You need a lot of
It's
local
also the
content.
case in many markets that telecommunication companies are co-producing with free-to-air channels, and every other person who's willing to chip in windowing the content has not been,
Do you see it as
Here
a
forever.
competition?
a competition. It's a blessing.
For me, I think for us, you make a very fair point because, one of our strategies when we do content, you want your content to travel, literally to optimize what you have, and you want it to be relatable with audiences that are separated by geography. But one of the strategies that we've also been implementing, because on our platform, on HBO Max, however you get it, it's not only our content. Warner Brothers content and our iconic titles are the core content. But you can see that in some markets, we sometimes do co-production when it comes to documentaries that resonate with recent, and if it's either, we go after third-party content as well that come on our platform. And recently, I think it was 2 years ago, we partnered in this particular region by licensing one of the best productions in the region, and it traveled. So that also gives us, we're a global brand, but where it makes sense, and it does make sense in some markets, we take the content that is locally produced and we put it on our platform. Even when it's not exclusive, it resonates and it hits differently, because for the consumers, one of the things that we saw was, there was a premiere that was on our platform and also on a local platform, but the whole buzz was just having your local content on a global streaming platform make people want to go watch it with us. So we see that synergy, and it's just about making the smart content decisions when it comes to either third-party productions, third-party acquisitions, co-productions, or content that we can premiere co-exclusively with a local partner. And main thing for us, it has to travel beyond that. And I actually see global streaming as an opportunity to what he said about the famous animation. It was a cheap budget. It got an Oscar. But I actually see global streamers with this partnership as an opportunity to take content from a local player, and it can travel beyond the borders that they imagine that production, beyond the audience, that production was meant for. But of course, for us, the core content is our core Warner Productions, our movies, the series, etc. So when it makes sense, there is a symbiotic relationship there, and at the end of the day, it serves the subscribers, because we want that loyalty. We want them to identify with that platform as their own, as where they can find what they want.
Right. Elena, Peter, yes, please.
But for us, the reality is we are a telco. Yeah, so we might be the biggest telco, but our DNA is a telco DNA. And that means in the end that for content production, I think you have to have scale, you have to have budget, you have to have local expertise and everything. And what DT for the foreseeable future will not do, for example, is investing into big international productions, because even if we have 9 European markets and the content can travel, it travels across very fragmented territories with a diverse cultural background. So we leave that to the colleagues from HBO, from Paramount. But what we can do as a telco, and that you can do without budget and without scale, what I call hyper-localization. Meaning focus on your local market, focus on local storytelling. What we've done in Greece, for example, as an example, is that we, 10 years ago, we found our own Greek history channel, Cosmote History, which was focusing completely on Greek history only. And that from day one was a very big success. And I think that is the icing on the cake, what you can do, stay local and
Right. But the programming was not made by Cosmote, just aggregating from local producers.
It was both, I would say, with their own production, smaller own productions as well, but also aggregation of local.
Okay, so you did a little bit of this
Yeah.
water. Elena, what about A1 regarding entering content production?
On the content production side, so A1 strategy in general is not to have our own content production house, right? We are focused on creating these smart partnerships we're speaking here about, with one exception. So in A1 Bulgaria, we produce content for sports channels. But in the other markets, we decided it's more relevant actually to partner with the content houses who know how to produce content, and we know how to provide scale. So it's a perfect combination.
Right. I could briefly change my suit to Orange and tell you the Orange story, who originally entered very heavily the space of content production and then heavily withdrew. So apparently it's not a telco DNA, but about DNA we'll touch in a few minutes. Bernhard, you were a little bit aside because you basically serve both sides with your content resources. Who is the better buyer, operators or streamers?
We love to work with all the partners in the market, obviously. We spoke a lot about content so far. Paramount obviously has a great variety of content, a huge catalog of premium, scripted programming, unscripted programming. And we work, for example, with our own streamer, the JV, Sky Showtime. We license them great series such as the Taylorverse, so the series from Taylor Sheridan with Yellowstone or Landman. Then other series We go first window on the CBS procedural in the markets, local players, Stella with your team, talking about, let's say, NCIS, a franchise that's been going on for 24 years. Or then if we're looking at the latest US hit with Matlock, the biggest series on US broadcast television in last year. And then going back to the movie side, great content. Our Paramount movies first go to Sky Showtime and Pay One, but thereafter to local partners, again, Stella to your teams, but also to you. On HBO, we're working together. And with the telcos, that's developing. So maybe I'm going to share a story, Peter, with your colleagues in Germany, Deutsche Telekom. So Deutsche Telekom is a partner for us, an operator. You can get Paramount Plus, our own streaming service, through Deutsche Telekom. You can also get Pluto, our fast service, via Deutsche Telekom. But for their own SWAT service, Magenta TV, they're also acquiring and licensing content directly from us at Paramount. So there, for example, they acquired FBI International right now, season 4, as a first window on Deutsche Telekom for their Magenta TV subscribers. And then around this, they have the franchise, FBI Most Wanted. So they also have a dedicated content offering directly for their subscribers. And that's something we've seen it in Germany. And I think we are also having the first conversations here in the marketplace, where this is an additional way for the telcos to differentiate themselves with specific offerings for their clients.
Right.
And that's what we offer. So yes, let's talk.
There was a strategy in bad old times, when streamers and studios, retracted the rights and locked everything in an exclusive basis. It didn't work. It didn't work. The content travels and it provides incremental value for everybody, from the IP owner to the last end of the final pay TV, 3rd, 5th, and 11th window. So
Right.
And that's how you create those big franchises, by having them available, by people consuming them,
Yeah.
finding them.
it's about reaching the audiences and getting incremental reach from all the different mediums.
Right. The word DNA was already mentioned twice here, and let's maybe touch on the soft factors of business making. Bernhard, from your perspective, is it a different conversation with content broadcast guys and telco guys? If you can share with us what is your feeling, what language would you use one another? Can you feel different cultures in these types of organizations? If you can share some of these soft factors.
That has definitely developed over the years, but it's with all the players, be it the streamers, how they interacted in the marketplace, the partners of the local linear side, also going into streaming with the telcos. So I think it's ever evolving. Very much at this moment, people are all looking into collaborations, finding business models, licensing, windows that work together, that benefit each other. Instead of this, we have a clear set of rules, and that's the only way how we engage. I think now people are way more open to operate, experiment, and try new things.
And streaming brought this notion of co-exclusivity.
Yeah.
When we first started working in this business, that was not the case. That we didn't know what that was.
Right.
So this is the base now.
Right. I try to nail it. Who is harder in negotiations? Broadcasters or telcos?
It always depends on the content and the consumer at the end.
And the size.
I was meaning the organizations.
Size.
But, okay,
Of the volume and the position.
I really want to touch on this DNA thing because, probably 15 years, my personal experience, I spent 10 years with Deutsche Telekom in Poland organization, and then I moved to Warner Discovery TVN. And I was shocked how different cultures are in these two types of organizations, how different language, focus, attention, whatever. But it was before streaming wars. It was before this blend. The question to you guys, and we can go in a row, have you experienced a change in your organizational culture DNA after you started to mingle with the content and you started to mingle with CRMs?
No, for sure, for me. But I will go bye-bye.
Let's go by line. Peter.
Line.
I wouldn't say there was a big change. I mean, of course, we are telco, yeah, but we also see that TV is getting a bigger role in our business because our claim is connecting your world. That is a Deutsche Telekom claim, connecting your world. And that means not only broadband, not mobile, TV, entertainment, or beyond the core. That is also including streamers. So that these are part of the ecosystem. And in that context, I think we are getting more and more professional, organizational-wise. When it comes to the impact of streamers on our brand and our telco business, I would say that Telekom is such a strong brand, so we are shining ourselves already. But of course, partnering with streamers gives another glossy touch to it.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, where did you get pink?
Magenta, not pink.
Yeah, it was provocative. But was it because of the influence of content word, the influence of marketing, and you did it to be more colorful, shiny, and pinky? Or was it independent?
I don't know. The magenta color came up. Gray and magenta was the corporate colors when we had the transformation from that former Ministry of Post and Telecommunication Services. It was in the mid-90s, I would say. But that's where. But it's getting more and more magenta. So the gray is going away more, and the T is more prominent now.
Yeah. This could be like the effect. Moving to A1, Elena's outfit represent A1 color, which is very vivid red, unlike typical telco switch. So how mingling with content changed your organization?
DNA of the telco, from telco perspective, definitely I would say changed massively in the last years. So the telcos in the past were focused so much on providing the right infrastructure, right? So the communication with the customer was more transactional, not so emotional, I would say. And as the behavior of consumer behavior changed so drastically, we needed to change as well. So we needed to change to a customer-first approach, right? To understand what they really want and need, and to adapt to their preferences, their lifestyle even. And this is how actually our idea for partnering with the streamers came. So definitely we changed a lot.
Right. Uldis told me that I'm wearing TED colors, so it's also vivid. Uldis, how is it?
Well, we are changing all the time. The smaller you are, the faster you have to run to survive because the big guys are coming after you. And anyone has a pager? Fixed telephone at home? So have one. So that's like 15 years ago, which seemed quite long ago. We had revenues from fixed voice, quite big ones. The decrease in this business area is like 10,000%, I believe, in last years. But so we keep changing, finding a new partnerships, finding a new technologies, starting to cooperate with somebody. We are reselling electricity, making movies, building data centers, a lot of things. So we are actually in the same business, as I call it. It's money-making business.
On a buzz, if funny in the rich man's world. Stella, did you add more gray?
Sorry?
Did you get more gray after you started to deal with
Not gray, but I have to say that I really enjoy personally, professionally, I really enjoy working very closely with people and with colleagues from telecommunications company. It feels a little bit like we are from Mars and Venus, yeah? And sometimes when you put these two groups together to work on a common project, yeah, it can be really explosive because the mentality is different. But what I really appreciate is that in this industry that they operate in, they had to reinvent the wheel 5 times already in a cycle of 3 to 4 years. We are moaning from morning to night about our, business transforming and digital transformation. If you're able to learn from this performance KPI-driven approach that telco colleagues have, and this direct-to-customer focus on how to please them, NPS, yeah, for a linear broadcasting business meant not so much. Now we're trying to use it to make television cool again. So it's really interesting, of course. Yeah?
What are your brand colors?
oh, it's red for Pop TV and blue, yellow, and red for RTL.
Right.
Yeah. So
Okay.
a little bit like a match of
Bernie later on it.
You are like baseball.
yes, almost.
Let's pass to Kenechi because Bernie is like a side perspective. Kenechi, you came like from completely like stardust environment, movie making, and then HBO, CRL, subscriptions, marketing automation. How was it for you? For your organization?
Oh, when we get into different question, you'll go a different word. I think that the industry that we're in is really evolving. And relative to the telcos, I think, yeah, you sell mobile, you sell internet. I believe that content gives them soul. Otherwise, they're just another commodity. And I think that they have all seen that, the connection, that content. That's why everyone is striving to have a footprint in the space that controls people's attention of all age groups. And that's actually why they're making so many changes, and we're all trying to work together to find common ground on how to deliver this content to what they want. But ultimately, content gives telcos soul. Otherwise, they will be where they are. One of the things that has happened with us as well, yeah, we're streaming. We started as a live premium TV. We have multiple brands. We've got news. We've got so much. We've got sports. But one of the things that this changes in the industry has allowed us with the culture that we are seeing within us right now is that we are open to different models. What we can control is what we're good at, which is content.
Right.
And if we continue to make it and deliver that high quality, now the next step of it is how flexible are you going to be with the models that you have? We're launching in so many markets. We're going to launch now in 12 markets, more markets, and we'll get to 100 countries with more to come. At the end of the day, we also made decisions, one of our launches this year, to go with a partner in Greece exclusively and not coming to the market because the passion they showed for what our content will do for them was unmatchable. This is not something we would have done because we have the streaming now, we have our app, we can go in. We made a decision, we went with Vodafone Greece. They hold the asset exclusively, even not wanting us to launch an app right away, because what they delivered to us in terms of what they believe the content would do for a market like that they are the first driver for it. So those kind of things is not something we could have talked about a few years ago. And to Bernhard's point, this is where the different business models are coming from. So ultimately, what we can control is our content and trying the best that we can through the streaming platform to ensure that the consumer, we get data from the consumer. So we're serving them, and it's not just a touch point from reports coming from my partners. On the other hand, I rely on the partners to deliver this content and to communicate this content in the best way that they know their consumers, okay? Who is going to renew their mobile contract, who is not going to renew, what are they buying from them? Content just gives you that storytelling across the board in different ways. So for us, what has really changed is the models that we're looking at right now, the way that we're able to adapt to so many changes in the market. There's talk about short form, long form, TikTok, what will happen to Gen Z? They are not paying, they are not watching linear, but it's all an ecosystem and no one has been able to shut anyone down because they are all still paying. So I think these are the decisions that will continue to be made, and these are the things that will continue to inform what our strategy will be across the markets.
Right. And HBO brand colors are black and white.
Yeah, we're back to black and white. That's why I'm in
You are
neutral
under the
today.
blue experiment with Mac. Okay, Bernie, from your like side position, have you experienced any change in DNA of the organizations you were dealing with across the years?
So
Total broadcast.
what is very important is, first of all, our color. Paramount is blue. And that's been for over 100 years and counting. So, but what we see, what is changing, there's so much evolution, there are so many changes, new business models, etc. And I think over the last years, you've also seen it for us as a distribution organization, content licensing. We're working with the partners, Stella, you mentioned it, in so many different ways in today's world. Back in the days, it was very much, you had your linear partner in one market, and that's about it. Now we're talking about linear television rights, we're talking all the various VOD rights and ways of collaborating on those packages, on branded contents, etc. So it's also our group, our company was evolving with that into many more details of how we can collaborate with our partners. And I think that's just gonna evolve over the period of time where you're gonna see collaboration going on multiple levels.
Right. Actually, you've been talking here about Me, Myself, and I, another song from ABBA. But let's change the perspective now and let's put ourselves in the consumer shoes. Do you think that all these things that has been going on here for the last years made consumer happy or confused? Let's start with Kenechi.
Why start with me?
Because to keep equilibrium, democracy, now the other way around.
I think there are different ways of looking at it, but in the industry where we are, for us, I mean, the KPIs is what is the feedback you get and how do you get that feedback? I can count how many Emmys we have won. That is a consumer feedback. Okay? When they do things, when you go on social media and you're trending on a title for months. Barbie last year was a whitewash. We're expecting Superman this year. This is just we know where most of you were on Saturday. 5 hours and 30 minutes watching Roland Garros. That is feedback. So I don't want to, and of course there is all the feedback that you don't want to get when consumers complain on the futures that you need to go behind the scenes and tweak. And that's why you have an app to get that data that you silently walk on to make the experience better. But for the core of what we do, the KPIs are out there. We got 31 Emmys and counting. There are so many shows. When we finish a season, you see the rush going on internet. When is the next one coming? That's the kind of feedback that I can say that I think, that's not the right word. We're doing something right and we're learning as we go with it. Just the recent rebrand that we decided to go back to HBO Max is coming from consumers. Okay, 220, we were all at home. It was about more and more and more and more. So we rebranded, we called it Max because we thought that's what everybody wanted. They wanted more and more. 2 years later, we're saying they want quality. It's not necessarily more and more. We were bold enough, humbled ourselves, we're back to HBO Max. That is listening to consumers, and that is how you take that feedback and walk with it and align it with your strategy. But the core of what we cannot change is about making high quality premium content. I think that if we don't deliver on that, we might as well pack up and go. Royal. That's what I think.
But your perspective, consumer, more confused or more happy?
I think we are trying, our goal as Paramount Content Distribution is to help our partners here to make your consumers happy. So we are providing the content to you. You have the relationship with the customers, with the consumers, and we're trying to make it easy for the consumers as well. I think we are seeing a trend over the years where IP and franchises are becoming very important in today's world with so many fragmented offerings. And then if you have strong brands that travel throughout, it's easy for the consumer to find it. You know, we spoke about binging on NCIS episodes, something where Leroy Gibbs, he will help you after a busy day in the office. You're going to come home, you follow your character, and within 1 hour, he will have solved that crime. The case is closed, and you're happy about it. So that's where we're coming from, where I think the content for our partners helps to make the consumers happy.
Right. Stella, your perspective.
For us, it's a little bit different because we are predominantly focusing on the local content. So we see that when we invest more on local prime time, be it series, be it reality shows, really top quality prime time original local content, people are watching. So people want to see more of that. And we have the data, we know what they do, we know how they behave because we have very wide distribution of our platform in our markets, and we know what to give them more of. So if they want more of something, they get it. It's about really smart curation and proper lines of communication on marketing so that you don't confuse them. So you need clear messages and you need smart curation. And then I think both on linear, it's like the old-fashioned scheduling job. Huh?
Right.
The better the scheduler, the better the ratings. It's all about the flow. It was about the flow. Now it's about the carousel.
And
How to keep that longer.
and Flow won Oscar.
Yes.
Operator side, Uldis. How do you?
I definitely believe our consumers are a bit more confused because there's an amount of information we are putting to them is super big, and the one thing will not change. We will have 24 hours per day next week and 100 weeks later and so on. So the critical thing for us will be how we not only collect data, but how we collect data from different sources, like when you are moving, what kind of content you are watching, how many devices are active at your home, and so on. So how we combine the data so we can reduce the time our consumers is looking for content. They're trying to find what to watch tonight or what I want to see tonight. So the amount of time our clients are spending to deciding what to consume, we need to find a smart way to reduce it. And then they will be less confused.
Maybe that's the reason why Gen Z is into TikTok and Instagram. But we'll touch on this in a few minutes. Elena.
Exactly what you're saying, that it's all about addressing the pain points, right? And understanding actually how to improve the experience of the customer at the end of the day, and what kind of content to provide to stay relevant, right? And to focus from our side, it's very important to focus really on the quality, not on the quantity, because one good partnership with the right partner actually is worth 5 partnerships with average partners, right? It's all about providing this diversity of content which our customers need, and also bundle it also with our core services. When I said that we change, our DNA is changed, yes, it is changed to a certain extent, so we stay true to ourselves, but we are also becoming more agile and really trying to meet the preferences of our subscribers.
Right. Peter.
It's no surprise that we are also putting the customer in the center of everything we are doing. So we are also tracking their promoter scores and everything. So and actually we did, we checked that before and after partnering with a partner, how the NPS is, and it was going up. So it has an impact on the customer happiness, I would say. But you were saying about bundling and also complexity topics. So our customers love the choice and the flexibility. And when it comes to flexibility, I see that this bundling and also the trend is going away from the classic hard bundling, because the more partners you get, the more difficult it gets to put them all in packages and everything. So proposition becomes very complicated. Yeah? And also in the end, you come into a discussion about affordability, because these packages might get too big and too expensive. Also into a margin discussion, because in the end you have to give discounts on all these packages. So that's why I believe we need to reduce complexity, and midterm I see the future that customers can pick and choose out of different things, out of pools or of content providers, right, and partners.
That's actually what Instagram and TikTok does. You can choose very swiftly by swiping. It's very simple interface. You don't have to worry about adding an option number 7 to option number 6 after your contract expires in 3 months from now, and analyze all these structures. And basically, when I asked my kids what are the terrestrial channel names, they cannot name any. They have no notion of linear TV by names. And sometimes, yes, they go to some Netflix thing to watch a movie sometimes, but mainly they are with Instagram and TikTok. So basically their time and money goes into pockets of Chinese guys and American guys, not yours. Are you aware of this threat? Do you have future? Are you going to adjust? Have you defined it as a problem at all, that Gen Z is not with you, is not in your statistics, numbers, but is somewhere else? How do you deal with this?
I mean, in the end, what can you do? Yeah, so you can sit there and wait until Generation Z becomes older and adapts to your habits. No, it will not work.
Okay.
It will not work, yeah, because in the end, you miss the entire digital transformation. So I believe that what we should do is we should play out our telco strengths. Yeah? That means that what you give this data-heavy consumption, reliable and secure networks. Yeah? Give them propositions which work for them, which are more designed for this younger generation. But sitting there and doing nothing, I think is not an option.
Not an option, Elena?
For the new generation, right?
Yes, for Gen Z. You know, they're 22 now. In 3-4 years, they're making money. They're going to be parents. So what is your attitude to this?
Yeah, from my perspective, actually, as a millennial, right? So I used to consume content in completely different way than my daughter, for example. So she's born 2010, so she's exactly on the border between Gen Z and Alpha, right? So while we're speaking, very often she's all the time multitasking, right? So swiping on TikTok, speaking to ChatGPT, not asking for recommendations, but speaking directly, and snapping as well, sending Snapchats to every friend she has. So the way she consumes also content is completely different. It should be fast, it should be fun, it should be really quick. So otherwise you are losing her attention immediately. So so this is a big shift actually, and we need to adapt in one way or another to this.
Right. Uldis?
Yep, we definitely will need to adapt, and we are not looking at our audiences like Gen Z and Gen Z. They are much more fragmented. So we create the kids content, we create adult content, so we address everyone.
You're gonna be.
Some of the content work
You
for
win.
many generations.
No, I'm sure NEM guys will put you on social media with this quote as a short
Very
vertical
short.
video.
Yeah.
Stella.
I think for me it's a principle, like a basic marketing principle. Yeah, we'll finish in 2 minutes.
No, the room is pretty full. We are pretty good dancing queens. You're doing fine.
Okay, so it's a marketing principle. You want to address an audience, you reach that audience on the platform that it is in. So in our case, I'll give you a quick example. RTL in Croatia is #1 TikTok profile. Why? Because it gives youngsters trending shorts that are based on our long-form linear and streaming content, but it's curated and it's produced in such a way that it speaks to them, becomes viral, and then you have a short clip of The Bachelor played on the big screens in all the clubs of Zagreb and Split. So this is what you need to do. You need to have smart, young, creative people who can think outside of the box of your, 350 GRPs for the launch of a new series. Yeah, that's it. So #1 TikTok profile and 0.7 billion impressions in Q1. It's quite good. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So it becomes top of the town, and then it helps linear, and you go around in 360.
Right. Bernie, from the content production side.
It's again going back to the content that you're using, how you're playing it out. And you start with the contents, not only Gen Z, also before. You start with the smallest, with the little kids, or you start with Paw Patrol, etc. And you bring them into your ecosystem all across. And then you have the contents that will follow them. I think one example, Survivor with Voyo, with the platforms, or in Poland with your colleagues when we talk about Poland's next top model. So content for all the generations, not only Gen Z, but across
Yeah.
the board.
But to nail, give me one title, major title of your like movie or series. Tell me one.
It's across the board. If you take,
Oh, just one.
we spoke about Mission Impossible. That record
Mission Impossible.
where a 14-year-old just went with his friends and saw it. So it's across.
Can you as Paramount provide Mission Impossible in vertical format in 10 minutes short?
You broke my.
Or is it Mission Impossible?
We know that Tom Cruise is all into the theatrical experience and seeing it on the biggest screen possible. And going into the long form.
Right.
That's, yeah,
Okay.
gonna stick.
Kenechi.
I actually think that that's what Elena said. The way they consume content, what they consume is different. But as of now, you're not expecting your child to pay a mobile package, right? She's still getting it from you. But from my perspective, I really think that it is a sales funnel, because from a social media perspective, you've got what we can do is about quality content, and the point is to make good content that they can find. However, as a sales funnel, you saw, when The Last of Us, I have Gen Z at home. They played the game. We were the first people to get a gaming show right in a series, and they came. So as a sales funnel, it really means that you have the influencers that talk about the shows. That is a platform where you actually come into your ecosystem in different forms. One of our recent shows, we had the collaboration with the merchandise. Everybody was buying it from H&M. And they go, which show is that? So I think there is some connection in not just looking at it like they are here and this is all they do. How do you use what they are to get them back get them to where you want? So I think it really works very well for us, and you have to have strong social media, work with influencers for your content, and get to them in ways that they need to listen and what they connect with, and they end up on your platform watching your shows.
Right. Dear audience, do you have any questions, comments? No. So if no, then
Nema pitanja, jel
it's
tako?
time.
Nema, no.
It's nema.
Nema pitanja. Nema
Okay.
pitanja.
Evo pitanje,
Nema pitanja.
Time for us to
Bilo
put
bi-
our white sombreros, saddle horse, and ride to a party tonight, right? Thank you very much. Thank you for your patience and attendance. Full room until the end.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, panelists.
You did an amazing job. Thank you so much.